Chris Brown, once called the heir to Michael Jackson.
I'm gonna delete my post, but this gotta be some of the dumbest shit I ever heard, bro.
A voice that could melt hearts, dance moves that electrified the world, and a career that promised nothing but greatness. But today, in America, his name doesn't shine the way it once did.
Nothing further. Thank you very much.
Thank you, counsel. We're in recess. Thank you. You're welcome.
This is the story of how Chris Brown rose to the top and how controversy, scandal, and choices led to his fall. The Golden Beginning. Back in 2005, a young 16-year-old boy from Tappahannock, Virginia, stormed the charts with Run It. The world fell in love instantly. He was the fresh face of R&B, the teenage sensation with charm, moves, and a bright future. America embraced him. Radio stations played him non-stop. He was invited everywhere. Award shows, movies, endorsements. For a moment, Chris Brown was unstoppable. The king in the making. From With You to Forever, Chris Brown became a household name. His concerts sold out. His music videos went viral before YouTube was even king. He was dancing like Michael, singing like Usher, and carrying himself like the next big legend. For America, Chris Brown wasn't just another artist. He was the artist, the one they believed could rule the next decade. The night everything changed. But in February 2009, everything came crashing down. The world woke up to news that Chris Brown had assaulted his then-girlfriend, Rihanna.
Your attorney has advised the court that you wish to enter a plea of guilty to that charge. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Photos of Rihanna's bruised face spread like wildfire. The public was outraged. America's golden boy had become a villain overnight. His image shattered, his endorsements pulled, his songs banned from radio. Chris Brown was no longer the rising king, he was the fallen idol. The struggle for redemption. Chris Brown tried to apologize. He cried on camera, he released statements.
Yo, little bit of an announcement I want to give y'all. And it busted her lip. And when I saw it, I was in shock. I was like, fuck, why the hell did I hit her like? So from there,
He has advised me not to speak out, even though ever since the incident I wanted to publicly express my deepest regret and accept full responsibility.
He promised to change. But in America, forgiveness wasn't easy. The Rihanna assault became his shadow, following him everywhere, defining him in every interview, every headline, every new project. For years, Chris tried to rebuild. Albums like FAME and X brought some success, but the stain never washed away. More controversies, more drama. If Chris Brown had stayed clean after 2009, maybe his story would be different. But trouble followed him, or maybe he followed trouble. From nightclub fights to social media outbursts, from lawsuits to probation violations, Chris was always in the news, but rarely for the music. In America, where image is everything, his reputation was damaged beyond repair. The divide. America versus the world. Interestingly, while Chris Brown's star faded in America, internationally, he remained huge. In Europe, Africa, and Asia, fans still filled arenas. His collabs topped charts overseas. But in America, the mainstream industry kept him at arm's length. Award shows rarely invited him, radio stations hesitated, and brands refused to touch him. It was as if America had decided Chris Brown could exist, but only on the edges, never at the center again. The music still speaks. Despite the scandals, Chris never stopped working. His catalog grew massive. Hit after hit, feature after feature. His fans, the Team Breezy, stayed loyal. But outside of that circle, America still struggled to separate the music from the man. And for an artist once seen as the next Michael Jackson, being reduced to a niche audience was a silent fall. The legacy question. So here we are today. Chris Brown is still one of the most talented singers and dancers of his generation. His influence on R&B, hip-hop, and pop culture is undeniable. But in America, his name comes with an asterisk. Talent overshadowed by scandal. Will history remember him as the superstar who lost it all, or as the flawed genius who still made timeless music despite his demons? Conclusion. The fall of Chris Brown is not just about one night in 2009. It's about choices, consequences, and the unforgiving nature of fame in America. He went from being the brightest star to a man struggling for redemption in the very country that once crowned him. And maybe, just maybe, that is the real tragedy of Chris Brown, the star who could have been king, but lost the crown before he ever got to wear it.
Chris Brown's career may look finished in America, but step outside the US and you'll find a completely different story. From Africa to Europe, he's not just surviving, he's thriving, celebrated, and even crowned as one of the greatest entertainers of our time. So why is Chris Brown loved overseas, even when America still questions his legacy? Let's dive deep. Africa, the unbroken bond. In Africa, Chris Brown is not just an artist, he's a symbol of global connection. When he tours Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, or South Africa, stadiums overflow with screaming fans. They know every word, every dance move, and celebrate him like a superstar untouched by scandal. Why? Because in Africa, the music speaks louder than the mistakes. African fans value artistry and energy. They don't erase talent because of controversy. And Chris Brown, with his collaborations with Afrobeats giants like Davido, Wizkid, and Rema, has tapped into the continent's rising sound. Instead of fading away, he has been reborn in Africa as a king of global rhythm. The Afrobeat connection. Afrobeats is the sound taking the world by storm. And Chris Brown didn't sit on the sidelines, he embraced it. Songs like Blow My Mind with Davido and Call Me Every Day with Wizkid became instant global hits. These collaborations weren't just business, they showed Chris adapting, evolving, and respecting Africa's growing influence. For African fans, this made him not just a foreign star, but one of their own. Europe, the loyal audience. In Europe, Chris Brown's reputation never collapsed the way it did in America. London, Paris, Berlin, Amsterdam, his concerts still sell out in minutes. European media still calls him one of the most electrifying performers of his generation. For them, Chris Brown is measured by his stage presence, not his scandals. They see his artistry, his vocals, his dance, and they celebrate it. Cultural differences. Forgiveness versus punishment. This divide between America and the rest of the world comes down to culture. In America, reputation is everything. Once the media brands you a villain, it's almost impossible to escape. But in Africa and Europe, fans separate the art from the artist more easily. They don't ignore the mistakes, but they don't let those mistakes erase the music either. In their eyes, Chris Brown is flawed, yes, but still legendary. The power of performance. Another reason Chris Brown thrives overseas is his live performance. Few artists can dance, sing, and entertain at his level. He brings energy that feels almost supernatural. Fans who watch him live don't see scandal, they see greatness. And for international audiences, that's enough to keep him at the top. The streaming era advantage. In today's world, streaming has broken the American gatekeepers. Even if US radio stations don't play his songs, fans in Africa and Europe can stream his music endlessly. Platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube have given Chris Brown direct access to global audiences, and those audiences have rewarded him with loyalty. Contrast with America. Meanwhile, in America, the industry's cold shoulder remains. Award shows hesitate to invite him. Brands avoid him. Every new project he releases gets overshadowed by the same old headlines. The same scandal that ended his golden run in America is barely mentioned overseas. It's a split reality, a fallen star in one land and a king in another.